Welcome back for one final time to DSP Leaders World Forum 2020. It's Friday the 15th of May and we have come to the end of this year's event. Rather different to last year, but our move online didn't detract from the quality of speakers we had for our sessions. A massive thank you to all of them, many of whom were connecting via varying levels of consumer broadband from their homes around the world. Having now completed 11 panel discussions, it's time to wrap up this first phase of the event and set the scene for what comes next. So joining me for a spot of post-event networking are Ray Maistre, Editorial Director of TelecomTV, and Chris Lewis, Founder and CEO of Lewis Insights. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Howdy.
I'm sincerely hoping that you both caught some of the sessions this week. Chris, any themes that seem to run through the whole week?
Well, Guy, it was a pleasure listening to you doing all of the interviewing and just listening in. What came across from the different sessions is that, you know, the way the industry has coped with the current situation, with the demands being placed on it, has actually been really, really good. We heard a lot about traffic patterns, both from fixed and mobile networks, the way that applications were changing, interaction. We heard a lot about collaboration between players. And I think the fact that the industry has almost gone back to its roots and dealt with what's been thrown at it in terms of traffic, and very unpredictable traffic. You know, we heard about people having to do things in a matter of weeks that would have been taken years to do before. So perhaps because the industry has been on this journey of becoming more digitized, transforming itself towards different sorts of business, actually it came, if it could have come at a good time, because we're much more able to cope with it. Many people commented throughout that if this had happened 5 years ago, we would have really struggled, both as an industry and as a population under lockdown. So I think those themes around the industry and doing what it does best, which is connecting people and processes and the like, that came across very strongly throughout all of the sessions.
And Ray, any other themes that emerged for you?
Yes, well, I think to come to what Chris was saying there, you know, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic obviously ran throughout the week. One of the comments that stood out for me was Matthias Friedstrom from Telecarrier. I thought he was actually going to break into a Smiths song when he said, "Every day is like Sunday." But I think what he was really talking about there was the traffic patterns and what they've been seeing on the networks. But I think he was one of the people that did mention that, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, without the kind of analytics, AI and software defined control of network capacity, that to deal with the immediate changes would have been almost impossible. And I know a number of the operator speakers did say that in many ways, from a business, operational and network capacity sense, they were able to do in just a couple of days what they'd been, you know, talking and thinking about perhaps for months or even years. So lots of really encouraging talk, and of course backed up by what we've all experienced and what people have experienced around the world. So, you know, I think hats off to the industry, and I think that really came across this week.
Absolutely agree. Chris, any particular sessions that stood out for you?
I particularly enjoyed the sustainability session. I think whenever I'm looking as an analyst at the industry, you know, I'm always looking for people to have a more holistic view. So the fact that we tend as an industry to focus so much on the technology and how clever it all is, but actually thinking more broadly about sustainability issues, green issues, as we move into this digital era, I thought that came across very well. The fact that as we densify networks, as we move towards 5G, you know, we will need more power. So the efficiency of power that was talked about in that was really important. And I think as an industry, being a responsible player, understanding the relative role that we have in the broader ecosystem, the broader industry, and roles for society as a whole, let's say, I thought that came across very well.
And Ray, this year we introduced the world to the concept of edgeonomics. How did that go down?
It went down really well, and I just want to quickly reiterate what Chris said then about the sustainability session. That really was one of the highlights, and it was great. It can be so easy to be a little bit cynical about the efforts of companies in terms of their green credentials and sustainability. But what we heard from operators like Telefonica, and Vodafone were concrete advances in these areas, and the reasons behind them, lots of different drivers. So that was really great. On the edgeonomics, I think, as you know, I'm new to the team here at TelecomTV, and I thought it was great to come on board and find that there was a session that was focusing on the business side of edge computing in the telecom sector, and not really sort of delving into the technology, or where is the edge, which can so often dominate discussions. And it was really interesting to hear from all the panelists on that session, but particularly from Verizon and from Tim, Telecom Italia, about how confident they were that there was a business case to be had here, and that there was a little bit as well, that not so much a risk had to be taken, but there had to be confidence that putting some investment and time and effort into looking into and deploying edge capabilities is something that is going to play out. The talk about the different business models. There's the wholesale, there's enterprise. It should be able to help into some retail services in the end. So I thought that was a great discussion. There's plenty of other time to get into how is edge computing going to be enabled. What do the telcos need to do to physically make it happen? But it was a great discussion, a really strong session.
Ray, I think edgeonomics is something which I've struggled with as a topic in the industry, but actually what came out very strongly from that discussion, as you said, from both Tim and from Vodafone, is the relationships they're all building with the cloud providers. Because of course, edge to a telco is different to edge to the enterprise, is different to edge to the cloud providers. And I think that came across very strongly, this need to collaborate with other participants in this ecosystem. So yeah, I did enjoy that one as well.
Another new area we focused on this year was the evolution of customer services. Very interesting comments from Orange Poland on that one, Chris.
I really enjoyed the customer experience. We so often hear the industry talking about being focused on the customer, and yet we're not really focused on the customer. We've been focused on taking money from the customer. And I think what came across in the Orange Poland example was this idea that with their Flex service being cloud native and deployed very quickly, they were able, under the corona situation in Poland, to roll out services for students and teachers within 72 hours, something that would have been never even thought of being possible before. So I thought that side of it was very interesting. The other side, of course, was around the 500 and the inclusive topic, the inclusion of bringing disabled and more elderly people into the fold. I know we think we have full penetration of mobile and broadband, but we really don't. And actually that issue of getting people in large companies to sign up to that fact and get people connected, it is extremely valuable to all participants in society. So let's get those services out there, whether it be rural deprivation of it, or whether it be on an age basis, or of course on a disability basis. So we can all benefit from that. So yes, please, more and more on that customer focus.
We certainly will do, Chris. The whole theme of this event is DSP Leaders. We're charting the evolution from communication services providers to digital services providers. Ray, did you feel that the sessions kind of conveyed this continuing journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was going to say that as well as the impact of the pandemic, and that was a theme throughout the week. The other themes that ran every day and came across in a number of sessions was how not only in recent months but in recent years that a number of trends are starting to make the digital service provider a reality, and we're now just not hearing about what we'd like to do or what could happen. We're actually finding out what is happening, and Orange Flex in Poland is obviously a great example. But we heard multiple examples of this, and underlying all that is the theme of collaboration and cooperation between operators within industry groups like the Linux Foundation, the TM Forum, the GSMA, and other bodies. These opportunities to share insights and collaborate are absolutely critical, and not just within the telecom sector. Chris made the point there in Edge about the relationships between the telcos and the web scale giants. But of course, the web scale giants really are communication service providers and network operators themselves. There's every month there's little difference, but they do need each other. And I think that this, as the industry gets more towards this digital services model and puts it into practice, that is coming about because of the shift to cloud, the greater use of virtualization and cloud-oriented technologies, of which cloud native will be next. And a lot of this, of course, is driven by the 5G strategies. And yeah, Chris did mention earlier on that, we've just had a week where everything wasn't 5G. 5G was not rammed down anybody's throats. But it was kind of in the background. There were a few sessions that really focused on it, but it was always in the background, and it's been a big driver. But of course, 5G can't happen without the move to DSP strategies, without the introduction of Edge and cloud native. It's all really interlinked, and nothing can happen by itself. So I think that collaboration, co-opetition, the move to cloud, and the acceleration of digital strategies, I think all of these came across throughout the week.
Now, we are going to be analysing the sessions all next week on TelecomTV with the new Extra Shot programme, and we're going to be talking to some of the panellists again, and the three of us will be discussing with the other members of the team. We also hope to get back together physically in the near future, although when that is, we don't really know. But if we can, we'll be back together for the Cloud Native Telco event. We've got another Cloud Native event planned, and also in December, hopefully, the Great Telco Debate will return, when I really do look forward to sharing the workload with the both of you, because it's very lonely up here. I miss the human company.
I'm in lockdown for the rest of the year, Guy. I forgot to tell you that.
Thanks very much, Ray. That's something to look forward to. Any other comments and final observations from this year's DSP Leaders World Forum? Chris?
I thought one of the things which I thought came through, which I really enjoyed, was the re-emphasizing of voice. A lot of the operators talked about voice. We get very carried away with the digital service providers talking about all these fancy applications and gaming taking over and esports, and cloud and this. And then during the pandemic, it raised the volume of traffic, went through the roof. We heard that from operators, from retail operators, from the wholesale operators, and I thought, what a nice way to sort of bring the industry back to its roots and focus on what it should be good at, and that the voice has played such a big part in keeping the industry, keeping the economy, keeping society going throughout. And then, of course, building on that with all the collaboration tools that have been made available to people. So I think the industry should sort of certainly pat itself on the back and say, we've done a good job of this. I think it's re-emphasized the role that we play as an industry in the broader economy, broader society, and not to get too carried away with all the fancy stuff on the edge, if you'll pardon the pun, but actually to make sure that we do look to become these digital service providers, build on that core technology, build on the core set of services, but most importantly, listen to what the customers need, whether it's in the business, in the consumer, or in the wholesale area.
Thanks. And Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I would concur with a lot of what Chris said there. And I think what this week has really shown us is, and this is a great example of it, having face-to-face interaction, as soon as we can get back to that will happen, because you cannot beat talking to people face-to-face, meeting in groups and having that kind of vibrant discussion. But useful conversation and useful insights can happen remotely, as has been proven this week. And what's really encouraging is that throughout this week, we've heard great examples from lots of different players, from the supply side, from the network operators, from the developers, and from people who monitor and track this industry. Great examples of how the communication sector is moving on, breaking new ground and being innovative. Everybody always says, but it's not moving fast enough. And I think even the people right at the coalface, right in the thick of things, wish that things would go a little bit faster. But I think the speed of innovation, is increasing even without the current situation. And it's great to hear the examples about how things are changing, how patterns are changing, and how the industry and customers are benefiting from it. So lots of great examples throughout the week.
Well, Ray, Chris, thank you both very much, and we will catch up again next week. Well, that's about all for this year. Don't forget, all the sessions are now available for on-demand viewing right here on Telecom TV. So grab yourself a coffee, turn off Netflix, and start your DSP Leaders binge-watching marathon. We hope to see you again at our physical events sometime in the future, whenever that is. In the meantime, we have a lot of online activities planned, all very exciting. And we'll be building on what we offered this week with lots more online interaction and engagement still to come. A massive thank you to all my colleagues at Telecom TV. This has very much been a team effort. And a special thank you to Phil, who has been running the show from his secret bunker somewhere in the east of England. A mammoth undertaking, greatly appreciated. Thanks to all our guests for giving up their time, and to all of you for watching. Please stay safe, thank you, and goodbye.